The morning sun cast long shadows across the bustling city streets as May hurried along the sidewalk, clutching her worn leather bag tightly against her side. The sharp click of her heels echoed in rhythm with the rapid beats of her anxious heart. Only yesterday, she had lost her job at the small boutique downtown, a victim of downsizing she never saw coming. But today was different. Today, she had an interview for a position that could change everything. Her eyes darted around nervously as she approached the towering glass building that housed the headquarters of Garrison Enterprises, a name she recognized from glossy magazines and the city's whispered conversations about power and wealth. She had rehearsed her introduction endlessly, hoping to make a good impression despite the knot of uncertainty twisting inside her. The street was crowded with office workers, all dressed in sharp suits and purposeful strides, a world away from May's simple blouse and scuffed flats. She searched for the entrance to the building, her gaze settling on a sleek black car parked just ahead, a luxury sedan that gleamed under the morning light. The driver sat patiently, eyes occasionally flicking to his watch. Glancing down the street, May thought she saw a small group of people waiting near the building's main doors. But the car's tinted windows and polished chrome seemed more inviting than the cold, corporate lobby. Exhausted from the morning rush and unfamiliar with the building's layout, she made a split-second decision. With a breath she barely felt, May stepped forward and opened the rear door of the sedan. The leather was cool beneath her fingers, the interior immaculate and silent. She slid inside without a second thought, closing the door softly behind her. Inside, the atmosphere was all business, minimalist, refined, and unmistakably expensive. May's eyes adjusted to the dimmer light, and she found herself staring at the driver, whose stony expression softened just a fraction as he glanced in the rearview mirror. "Ms. Lin." The deep voice startled her. "You're late for your first day?" May blinked. I think you have the wrong person," she stammered. The driver shook his head, lips curling into a faint smile. "No mistake. Mr. Garrison insisted I pick you up personally. The CEO's new assistant." First day on the job. Panic rose in May's chest, but embarrassment rooted her in place. Correcting him now would only confirm her mistake and possibly humiliate her. So instead, she forced a small nod, willing herself to play along just long enough to figure out what to do next. "Right," she said quietly. "The assistant." The car began to move smoothly through the city streets, the city's noise muffled by the thick glass. May's mind raced. She had no appointment here, no formal acceptance letter, and certainly no training to be anyone's assistant. But the driver's watchful eyes and the growing tension in the air told her there was no easy escape. As the car glided through the morning traffic, a memory surfaced, her final conversation with her last boss, who had warned her to be ready for anything, to seize every chance that came her way. Perhaps this was that chance, a strange twist of fate she couldn't ignore. Inside the car, the driver's phone buzzed. He glanced down, then back at May. "Mr. Garrison is in a meeting, but he expects you to be ready when he's finished." May swallowed hard, her fingers tightening around the strap of her bag. "I'll do my best," she whispered, more to herself than to the driver. Meanwhile, in the towering glass offices above, Alexander Garrison sat behind a massive mahogany desk, his sharp eyes focused on the spreadsheet glowing on his monitor. He was a man accustomed to control, of markets, of people, of every detail that could make or break his empire. His reputation was built on precision, discipline, and an unyielding demand for excellence. A sudden knock interrupted his concentration, and his assistant entered briskly. "Mr. Garrison, your new assistant has arrived. I've been trying to reach you all morning." Alexander's lips twitched into a rare smile. "About time. I was beginning to think she wouldn't show." "Her name is Lin May," the assistant reported, "but I'm not sure she's prepared for this role. She seemed uncertain when I spoke to her." Alexander leaned back, steepling his fingers. "Let's see what she's made of. Sometimes, the unexpected hire is the one who surprises us the most." Back in the car, May's heart pounded as it pulled up to the building's underground garage. The driver opened the door and gestured for her to follow. She stepped out into the cool air, suddenly acutely aware of her plain clothes among the polished executives passing by. She took a deep breath and followed the driver through a labyrinth of elevators and hallways until they reached a sleek conference room where Alexander was waiting. His presence was commanding, tall, impeccably dressed, with eyes that seemed to miss nothing. "Ms. Lin," he said, standing as she entered. "Welcome to Garrison Enterprises." May managed a shaky smile, her mind still reeling from the morning's confusion. "Thank you, sir. I'm ready to start." Alexander nodded, then gestured to the chair across from him. "Sit. Let's get started." As May settled in, she realized that this mistaken entry into a luxury car was more than just a misunderstanding. It was the opening of a new chapter, one that would test her resolve in ways she had never imagined. For now, she would play the part expected of her, hoping her determination could bridge the gap between who she was and who she needed to become. Outside the window, the city buzzed with endless possibility, and inside, two worlds had just collided. The first morning at Garrison Enterprises unfolded in a blur of unfamiliar faces and endless tasks that left May feeling like she had stumbled into a whirlwind. The conference room where Alexander had welcomed her now felt like a distant memory as she was propelled into the demanding rhythm of the CEO's world, a world that moved too fast for someone still grasping the basics. Her attempts to keep pace with Alexander's schedule were met with a constant barrage of meetings, phone calls, and last-minute demands. Each task seemed to carry an unspoken urgency, a silent expectation that everything be done not only quickly but flawlessly. May juggled calendars, drafted emails, and learned to decipher the shorthand acronyms that filled company memos, her fingers trembling slightly as she typed. In the open-plan office, buzzing with activity, she became acutely aware of the sharp eyes watching her every move. Colleagues exchanged glances, some skeptical, others indifferent. She overheard murmurs questioning how someone so inexperienced had landed this role. The doubt was palpable, a silent barrier she hadn't anticipated. One such observer was Thomas, a senior executive whose reputation for skepticism was as well known as Alexander's for decisiveness. He watched May with a raised brow during a morning briefing, whispering to a nearby colleague, "I don't see how she's going to keep up. This place isn't for amateurs." May caught the comment and felt a flush of embarrassment, but she refused to let it show. Instead, she focused on a stack of reports that needed organizing, reminding herself that this was a test she had to pass. Amid the tension, May found unexpected support in Lucas, Alexander's right-hand man. Lucas was a steady presence, his calm demeanor contrasting with the whirlwind around him. He noticed May's struggle and offered quiet encouragement. "Don't let them rattle you," Lucas advised one afternoon as they reviewed a presentation together. "Everyone starts somewhere. Just keep showing you're willing to learn." His words were a small comfort, a reminder that beneath the polished exterior of the company, there were people who understood the challenge of starting over. As the days passed, May's awkwardness began to give way to tentative confidence. She learned to anticipate Alexander's preferences, preparing documents before he asked and adjusting schedules to maximize efficiency. There were missteps, a missed email here, a forgotten appointment there, but she met each mistake with humility and determination to improve. Alexander, observant as ever, started to take notice. In a brief moment alone, he remarked, "You have potential, Ms. Lin. It's rare in this environment." May's surprise was genuine. "Thank you, sir. I'm trying my best." He nodded, a flicker of approval in his eyes. "Good, because this place doesn't tolerate half measures." Beyond the walls of the executive suites, the office buzzed with its own dramas and politics. May found herself caught in subtle undercurrents, smiles that didn't quite reach the eyes, conversations that stopped when she entered the room. She realized that acceptance here was as much about social navigation as it was about job performance. One afternoon, as she passed the break room, May overheard a conversation between two colleagues. "Did you hear? The CEO's new assistant has no experience. It's a disaster waiting to happen." May's heart sank, but she kept walking, determined not to let their words define her. Throughout it all, the CEO's world remained a study in contrasts. Alexander was a man of few words, commanding in meetings, yet surprisingly guarded in quieter moments. May caught glimpses of a loneliness behind his sharp gaze, a man burdened by expectations, yet craving something beyond the cold calculations of business. In one rare instance, Alexander invited May to join him for a late evening coffee in the office lounge. The room was quiet, the city lights twinkling through the windows. "Why do you stay?" he asked suddenly, breaking the silence. May hesitated. Because I want to prove I belong here. And because sometimes, the hardest paths lead to the most rewarding destinations. He regarded her thoughtfully. Ambition is a double-edged sword. It can elevate you or consume you. The conversation lingered in May's mind long after the coffee was finished. It was a reminder that beneath the veneer of power lay complex human struggles. As the weeks unfolded, May's presence began to shift from that of a tentative newcomer to a recognized part of the team. Small victories, a smoothly coordinated meeting, a well-received report, built her credibility. The laughter that occasionally broke through the office's formality when she made a light-hearted comment was a sign she was carving out her place. Yet, the challenges remained. The CEO's demanding schedule left little room for error, and the scrutiny from colleagues was unrelenting. May knew that each day was a test, and that the path ahead would require resilience and unwavering focus. In the midst of it all, a subtle bond began to form between May and Alexander. A professional connection laced with mutual respect and the quiet understanding of two people navigating unfamiliar territory. It was a beginning, fragile yet promising, of something that neither of them could yet fully define. As the office lights dimmed late one evening and May packed her bag to leave, she allowed herself a small smile. The journey was far from over, but for the first time since she stepped into that luxury car by mistake, she felt a flicker of hope, a sense that perhaps this unexpected role was exactly where she was meant to be. The office hummed with a low murmur of conversations and the occasional clatter of keyboards as May settled into her desk, determined to begin the day with renewed focus. She had learned to anticipate the relentless pace of Garrison Enterprises, but today, an unexpected twist threatened to upend the fragile equilibrium she had been building. Earlier that morning, May had inadvertently overheard a conversation in the executive lounge, a hushed exchange between two senior managers, discussing a confidential merger that had not yet been made public. The words struck her like a thunderclap. A major acquisition was imminent, one that could reshape the company's future. Her heart raced as she grappled with the implications. She knew the importance of discretion in this environment, but the weight of the information pressed on her conscience. In a moment of uncertainty, she shared a vague hint of what she'd heard with a trusted colleague, hoping to gauge the significance without betraying any secrets. What followed was a ripple of suspicion that quickly spread throughout the upper echelons of the company. Whispers began to circulate, and eyes turned toward May with a mixture of doubt and scrutiny. The leak, though unintentional, cast a shadow over her integrity. Thomas, the senior executive who had long doubted her capabilities, seized the opportunity. During a tense meeting, he addressed Alexander directly. "Sir, we need to reconsider having someone with such a questionable grasp of confidentiality so close to sensitive information. It's a risk to the company." Alexander's gaze sharpened, flashing with a rare flicker of frustration. May felt the room constrict around her, the weight of every gaze like a physical force. She struggled to maintain composure, her voice barely steady as she defended herself. "I never intended to share confidential information," she said. "It was an accident. I didn't realize the conversation was private." Thomas sneered slightly. "Intentions aside, mistakes here have consequences. Loyalty and discretion are non-negotiable." The accusation stung deeply, not only because of the professional implications, but because it threatened the tentative trust May had been painstakingly cultivating. For a moment, doubt crept in, whispering that perhaps she had overstepped, that she didn't belong in this world after all. Retreating to her desk, May fought to steady her breathing. The office, once a place of opportunity, now felt like a battleground where every misstep could be weaponized against her. Yet, beneath the weight of suspicion, a quiet resolve began to take root. Determined to prove her loyalty, May immersed herself in her work with renewed vigor. She double-checked every email, confirmed every meeting detail, and stayed late to ensure no error could be attributed to her. She refused to let a single mistake define her. Meanwhile, Alexander's demeanor toward her grew more complex. In private moments, his guarded expression softened slightly, but the professional distance remained firm. One afternoon, he summoned her to his office, the atmosphere tense but not unkind. "Ms. Lin," he began, folding his hands on the desk, "this incident has raised serious questions, but I also see your efforts to make amends." May nodded eagerly, eager for any chance to redeem herself. He continued, "Trust is earned, not given. I'm willing to give you the opportunity to prove yourself. But understand, any further breaches will not be tolerated." "I understand, sir," May replied, her voice steady with newfound determination. The days that followed tested May's resilience. She navigated office politics more cautiously, aware that every interaction was scrutinized. Rumors persisted, and some colleagues whispered behind her back, but May's commitment never wavered. Lucas, ever her quiet supporter, offered advice during a brief moment away from prying eyes. "People here will try to break you down. Don't give them that satisfaction. Keep your head down and your work strong." His words became a mantra, a shield against the growing tide of suspicion. Yet, the strain began to show. Late nights blurred into early mornings, and the pressure to perform flawlessly weighed heavily. May found moments of vulnerability creeping in, glances of self-doubt in the mirror, the ache of loneliness in an unfamiliar city. One evening, while organizing Alexander's schedule, she overheard a rare moment of vulnerability from him on a phone call. His voice, usually steel-edged, softened as he spoke about the burden of leadership and the isolation it brought. The glimpse into his private struggle sparked empathy within May. She realized that beneath his formidable exterior, Alexander was a man grappling with his own fears and expectations, much like herself. This shared humanity quietly bridged the gap between them, laying the groundwork for a deeper understanding that extended beyond professional roles. However, the office remained a crucible of challenge. A rival within the company, eager to exploit May's precarious position, began to circulate subtle insinuations questioning her qualifications and motives. Anonymous notes appeared on her desk, and digital files were mysteriously misplaced. The mounting pressure culminated in a pivotal moment during a high-stakes presentation. May was tasked with coordinating critical materials, but a deliberate error caused a delay that threatened to derail the meeting. Fingers pointed quickly, and though the mistake was not hers, the suspicion was immediate. In the aftermath, Alexander confronted her privately. His eyes searched hers, a mixture of disappointment and concern. "Was this an oversight, or something more?" he asked quietly. May shook her head emphatically. "I would never do anything to jeopardize this company or my position." He studied her for a long moment before nodding slowly. "I want to believe you, but trust is fragile." The encounter left May more determined than ever to prove her worth. She resolved to rise above the intrigue and demonstrate through unwavering dedication that she belonged, not as a mistake or an accident, but as a capable and trusted member of the team. Amidst the swirling doubts and challenges, a subtle shift began. Alexander's guarded respect grew, and May's quiet strength became increasingly evident to those around her. The path ahead remained uncertain, fraught with obstacles, but for the first time, May felt the stirrings of acceptance within the company's walls. As the day drew to a close and the office emptied, May lingered for a moment at her desk, the weight of the day's trials settling around her. She glanced out the window at the city lights, a silent promise echoing in her mind. She would prove, beyond doubt, that she was not just an accident, but an essential part of something greater. The morning light filtered softly through the sleek glass windows of Alexander Garrison's office, casting long shadows across the polished floor. May sat across from him, the tension between them palpable but unspoken. For weeks, an unacknowledged secret had lingered in the air, waiting for the right moment to surface. Alexander's gaze was steady, his usually unreadable expression softened by a flicker of something approaching curiosity. He leaned forward, resting his elbows on the massive mahogany desk. "I've been reviewing the details," he began carefully, "about how you came to be here." May's heart quickened. She had rehearsed this conversation countless times in her mind, but now, faced with the truth, words faltered on her tongue. I didn't mean to deceive you," she said quietly. "It was a mistake. I got into your car by accident." Alexander nodded slowly. "I suspected as much." The driver confirmed it after I confronted him. For a moment, the room was filled only with the soft hum of the city beyond the glass. May searched his eyes, uncertain of what would follow. Instead of anger or reprimand, Alexander's lips curved into a faint, approving smile. "It was a bold move, Miss Lin. Most others would have run away from this situation." "I was scared," May admitted, "but also determined. I needed a chance." He regarded her thoughtfully. That determination is what convinced me to keep you on. Potential is rare, but courage is rarer still. The weight on May's shoulders lifted slightly, replaced by a cautious hope. Thank you. I want to prove I'm worthy of the opportunity. Alexander's expression grew serious once more. There are still those who doubt you, and challenges ahead. But I believe in second chances. Just then, Lucas entered the office, carrying a stack of reports. His eyes flicked between Alexander and May, sensing the shift in atmosphere. Sir, Lucas said, there's some news about the rivals' schemes. We've uncovered evidence that they've been manipulating files and spreading false rumors to undermine Ms. Lin. May's eyes widened in surprise. I had no idea. Alexander's gaze hardened. This kind of sabotage will not be tolerated. Prepare a full report. I want this dealt with swiftly. As Lucas nodded and left, Alexander turned back to May. You've earned the support of key people here. Use it wisely. The rivals' plot unraveled quickly, with the company's internal security team tracing the manipulation back to a disgruntled employee seeking to destabilize the team. The revelation shifted office dynamics, and May found herself gaining allies among colleagues who had once been skeptical. In the days that followed, Alexander invited May to join him in candid conversations that peeled back the layers of corporate formality. One afternoon, as they reviewed strategic plans in a quiet corner of the office, he shared his vision for the company. This isn't just about profits, he said. It's about shaping something lasting. I want partners who share that vision, who aren't afraid to challenge the status quo. May listened intently, feeling a connection deepen beyond mere professional obligation. Their discussions grew more frequent, blending business with personal insights. Alexander revealed glimpses of his guarded nature, the loneliness of leadership, and the pressures that came with his role. May responded with honesty about her own journey, the mistakes, and the resilience that had brought her here. Together, they began breaking down the barriers between them, forging a bond built on trust and mutual respect. One evening, after a long day of meetings, Alexander looked across the table and said softly, "You're no longer just my assistant, May. You're a vital part of this team." May smiled, a warmth spreading through her chest. "I'm ready to step fully into that role." As the rivals' influence faded and the company stabilized, May embraced her responsibilities with renewed confidence. The challenges that once seemed insurmountable now felt like stepping stones on her path. In a symbolic gesture, Alexander invited May to represent the company at an upcoming industry conference, a sign of trust and recognition that resonated deeply. With each passing day, the themes of second chances and breaking social expectations came to life in May's journey. She was no longer the uncertain newcomer, but a valued member of Garrison Enterprises, ready to face whatever lay ahead. The city outside continued its ceaseless pulse, but within the walls of the office, a quiet transformation had taken place, a testament to courage, honesty, and the power of embracing one's true potential. The conference hall buzzed with energy as industry leaders, entrepreneurs, and innovators gathered beneath the gleaming chandeliers. May stepped through the grand entrance, her heart pounding with a mix of excitement and nerves. This was the moment she had worked tirelessly toward, the chance to represent Garrison Enterprises on a stage that could define her future. Dressed in a tailored navy suit that fit her like a second skin, May moved with a newfound confidence. The months spent navigating the challenges of the corporate world had transformed her from a hesitant newcomer into a poised professional. The whispers of doubt that once followed her were now replaced by nods of recognition and respectful greetings. Backstage, Alexander approached, his usual stoic expression softened by a proud smile. "You're ready," he said simply. May returned the smile. "Thanks to your support." He nodded. "Remember, this is more than a presentation. It's an opportunity to shape perceptions of the company and yourself." As the spotlight shifted, May stepped onto the stage, the faces in the audience blurring into a sea of expectation. She took a steadying breath, recalling the journey that had led her here, from the mistaken ride in a luxury car to the demanding schedules, the whispered doubts, and the gradual building of trust. Her voice, clear and steady, carried through the hall as she outlined Garrison Enterprises' vision for innovation, collaboration, and sustainable growth. She spoke passionately about the company's commitment to breaking barriers and embracing bold ideas. Questions from the audience followed, probing and sharp, but May responded with grace and insight, demonstrating not only her grasp of the company's mission but her own emerging authority. Each answer chipped away at any lingering skepticism, replacing it with respect. Backstage again, colleagues gathered around, offering congratulations and words of encouragement. Thomas approached, his earlier skepticism replaced by reluctant admiration. "You did well," he admitted, extending a hand. May shook it, a smile playing on her lips. "Thank you. I hope this is just the beginning." In the days that followed, the momentum carried into the office. Projects she spearheaded gained traction, and the subtle partnership between her and Alexander deepened into a collaborative force driving the company forward. Their exchanges blended professionalism with moments of genuine connection, shared glances across conference tables, brief smiles in crowded hallways. One evening, as the city lights twinkled outside Alexander's office window, he spoke candidly. "I've always believed in leading by example. You've shown that courage and perseverance can redefine expectations." May met his gaze. "And you've shown me that trust can open doors I never thought possible." The balance between them shifted, no longer just CEO and assistant, but partners in vision and ambition. At a celebratory company event held in the building's rooftop garden, surrounded by twinkling fairy lights and the hum of lively conversation, May and Alexander stood side by side. The city stretched endlessly below, a tapestry of light and possibility. "To new beginnings," Alexander toasted, raising his glass. May clinked hers gently against his. "To growth, trust, and the future we'll build together." As laughter and music filled the night, May felt a profound sense of belonging, a recognition that the path she had chosen, with all its uncertainties and challenges, had led her to a place where she could thrive. The story of her journey, marked by resilience, empowerment, and the courage to embrace change, resonated not only within the walls of Garrison Enterprises, but also within her own heart. And as the night deepened, the promise of new opportunities shimmered brightly on the horizon, inviting her to step boldly into whatever lay ahead. If you love the story, like the video and subscribe.